Comedians have to be the most hypocritical people ever. Now, here's a very good channel, Too Lazy to Try, and he covers the hypocrisy of these comedians, in particular how Bill Burr here, he went on about billionaires forever, and then he turned around and went to the Saudis and collected a big paycheck for them, then started making excuses for them. Now, being a men's rights channel, I want to point something out. So many of his male fans rightfully turned on him because it's about status, right? They see themselves as the working man. He supposedly backs the working man. Then he betrayed them, right? However, he betrayed us a long time ago, right? Because he did stand up for a long time, way back when he still had hair, where he would trash women. Why? Because he was a deselected guy. He's like MGTOW. Bill Burr, you're like MGTOW. You're a weird, deselected guy. And as soon as he got selected, he was selected by a feminist woman, Nia. And all of a sudden, it's all good, right? Now, let me play you a bit of this, where he actually argues for men back then.
There's no reason. There's no reason. Really? No reason? How about this? You marry a girl, you fall in love, you buy her a house. You go to work every day paying off the house. You come home one day, she's banging the next door neighbor, hands you divorce papers. You got to move out, sleep on a futon, and still pay for that house that she's going to stay in. No reason. I'm not saying you should do it, but there's plenty of fucking reasons in that arc of a story.
See, he was, no reason to hit a woman, how women argue, right? He did all kinds of, this isn't the only one. He's done all kinds of stand-up in the past. And all that disappeared once some feminist man-hater decided to shack up with him. And this is what ticks me off about this, guys, because all these guys, all these working men got pissed with Bill Burr, had nothing to say about that. Because, like I said, they get angry when their status is attacked, but they don't mind getting attacked as a sex. All right. We'll play a little bit of this. Let's see. We should have it. Yeah, we'll start right at the beginning.
New Year's gigs for $1 million. Did New Year's gigs for Gaddafi's kids. Can you fucking believe that? How much fucking money do you need to make, you know? You're going to take a gig where you're going to go dance like a goddamn fucking clown for a mass murderer's kids? And then you take that fucking blood money and what he's done. You couldn't remember that he claimed he was behind the Pan Am bombings that killed fellow Americans? The fuck is wrong with you?
The Royals loved the show. Everyone was happy. The people that were doing the festival were thrilled. And, it was just this great positive thing. And
Total 180, right?
I got to tell you, just to be a part of that was fucking amazing. And the comedians that I've been talking to just saying, like, dude, you can feel it. They wanted it. So it was a mind-blowing experience. Definitely top 3 experiences I've ever had.
All right, so after years of Bill Burr trashing celebrities for taking blood money and railing against billionaires and ranting about wealth inequality, he decided to go to Saudi Arabia and accept money from the royal family, who are known for using modern slave labor, which he's being paid not to mention and help cover up. When he got back, he only talked about how amazing Saudi Arabia was.
Yeah. Burr never had any principles ever. Like all the guys, notice we're so damaged psychologically that it's only when he does this that guys recognize that he's a hypocrite. Not when he married some feminist man-hater, right?
So he went from saying billionaires need to be put down like rabid dogs to taking money from a trillionaire family that's known for human rights violations and modern slavery and will kill citizens that speak out against them. So I don't think it gets more hypocritical than that. But as we know, obviously money talks, and it turns out Bill will drop his morals and destroy his reputation and credibility for $1.5 million. And
They had no morals.
now he's just getting cooked for it. People are so pissed at him, and everyone.
Like, good on these commenters, right? Bill Burr is being destroyed publicly. This is done en masse, and these guys aren't letting up. But notice how, again, you don't see this, or you didn't see this, when he married Nia after going on and on about how women were trash. Why? Because he was deselected. That's why he was angry. Like MGTOW, they were deselected, that they were angry. But then he'll turn around and do a 180 once he got that female validation from a woman who hates his guts, right? But again, you don't see all these guys there saying, Bill, how can you turn on us? How can you marry this awful woman after defending us, right? These guys are nowhere. Okay. Now, I also want to bring up how someone like Joe Rogan, he was all against censorship, right? But guys have claimed that their comments disappeared, right? Now, it says there's no evidence in the provided context that Joe Rogan himself removed people's comments. However, multiple users on Reddit have claimed that Jamie, Rogan's longtime producer and collaborator, has deleted top-rated comments on videos of the Joe Rogan Experience on YouTube. These claims suggest that comments critical of Rogan, highlighting controversial moments, such as his use of racial slurs, were removed. Right? So, I mean, they're even defending Joe, right? Joe Rogan didn't do it himself. Only his producer and collaborator did. And Joe was just some simple, innocent guy who didn't realize what was going on. Right? All these comedians, all these free speech comedians are anti-speech once they get attacked. Right? Now, here's one here. Let's see, 240. Let's get back to that. This is another comedian who, of course, was into censorship. Let's get a 240 right about here.
And usually the way they react to it shows they're not very good at handling it because they'll have the worst response.
Yeah, like all these comedians who say, hey, it's just a joke, bro. When they're attacking you, you've got to have a thicker skin. But when they get zapped, totally different story.
You could see a video about yourself and just ignore it like Joe Rogan says, or you could watch it and just be like, all right, whatever, this is what the internet does. Or you can watch it and respond to it, or you can pick the worst option here and try to have it removed, because that usually draws the most attention and shows people that you're not very good at handling it. And you would think comedians would know this, but some of them, I guess, just don't get it. Like Andrew Santino.
They do get it. Too lazy to try. They do get it. They're just hypocrites. We know it. Fuck it. No, report it. Right? Right? So this guy's going to report someone's comment. Right?
For example, he sees a video he doesn't like and has a meltdown and then tells his fans to go report it. This happened when him and Bobby first started Bad Friends, and their original setup, their studio here, did not look too good. I mean, they just look uncomfortable sitting there. It looks like they're working at an office job or something.
So he's going to report a video that simply made fun of his setup.
And they just have random decorations up. I mean, Bobby's Red Bull and cigarettes are the only thing in that room that give it some kind of personality or like theme or something. It's clearly just random shit they put up. So some people in the comments were making fun of it, and Joe Rogan, he even goofed on it a little bit, which we'll get to. But also Red Bar ended up posting a video about how low effort the podcast is and how ugly the set is and everything. And it really wasn't that big of a deal. You know, Red Bar's video had maybe 10, 20,000 views, and most people I feel like would have been able to just brush it off and been like, all right, he's just being a hater or whatever.
Well, not this wimp.
But it clearly touched a nerve with Santino, probably because there's some truth to it. So when somebody posted it to Twitter, and I think they tagged Santino in it, he responded and said, "We know, report it, F that clown." Which
All these free speech, anti-censorship guys, they're pro-censorship once they have to pay the price. They're all hypocrites. They're liars. All right. Now I want to get, let's see, what's next? Oh yeah, Howard Stern, right? Let's see if I can find this. Yes. Howard Stern is the ultimate, right? When he dishing it out and doing some really nasty, brutal things to people. And then he'll turn on a dime and he'll be a complete wimp over this. Now, he's done some nasty things. Let's see where we are here. He's had, you guys, if you remember the old Howard Stern show, he had a clip called Butterface where he'd bring these women on with great bodies and there was something wrong with their face. Maybe they just weren't as good looking as their bodies. And they ream these girls over, right? Yet Stern is going to what? Call Joe Rogan a misogynist. How much more hypocritical can you get than that? Let's listen to this.
I believe Joe hates women.
You were a writer on the Man Show.
Yeah, I was.
Worked with Doug and Joe Rogan.
That's right, yeah. It was fun.
Says here Joe would always yell at the juggies.
Well, no,
Joe hates women.
He's the difficult
Joe hates women. Who is this clown to say such a thing?
time.
Yeah, Joe's weird. Like
He definitely has a difficult time.
I've gone to strip clubs with him, and he's like, "Get out of here, you whore."
I remember seeing, even when we were in Vegas together and they were stripper dancers, and he was yelling all kinds of horrible things. And I was like, these women aren't doing anything to you. Why are you screaming at them?
Right.
Yeah, then 3 seconds later, he's banging all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm in my room watching A&E.
And you're
Yeah, well, Joe learned, didn't he? When he hit puberty, he was probably his genuine self with girls, and it didn't work out. And he learned the hard way that you have to be what women would call an asshole. Because he found out that's how you got laid, right?
nice.
Yeah, I'm nice.
But those kind of women, they like it.
They like to be yelled at. What would he yell at them? What would he say?
Well, he was like their biggest supporter. And like when the director would go, "Shut up" to the juggies or whatever when we were rehearsing. And,
Juggies.
yeah, who knows what their names are. And then, Joe would go, "Don't talk to them that way," or, he would totally stand up for them. But then, like a minute later, he'd go, "Shut up."
So Joe's being a hypocrite too. He says, don't talk about them like that. In other words, he was a white knight, but he was a nice guy who realized he had to be the bad guy on the surface to get the girls. So Joe was being a hypocrite, right?
Good move.
So after this, Joe was just done with the show, and I'll play some of the clips where he's talking about it, but he was just over the drama, and he knew if he went on there and called Howard out, it would turn into this big thing. And also, obviously, this was...
Well, he was also Stern's suck-up. This is another thing about these unprincipled comedians. Joe was always kissing Stern's posterior. Because Stern had more status than him. Guys will like become complete doormats for a guy who's higher status than him. Remember, guys worship women and the alpha male. I know there's no such thing as the alpha male, but a guy with higher status.
Starting to be a bad look for him, and Howard was really into labeling him as a misogynist, even though I think you could label Howard that and pretty much...
Wow, Howard Stern was labeling him as a misogynist. So pathetic. Howard Stern was labeling him as a misogynist. Again, this is why we in the Pro Male Collective say There is no misogyny. All these guys are woman worshipers. Howard Stern is, Joe Rogan is, definitely Bill Burr is, right? Then they'll put this tough guy act on. And Stern would really attack this. Like, if you watch Too Lazy to Try It, you should watch this video, the whole thing, because he brings Joe on, does some really dirty. He brings in an ex of his to embarrass him. And Stern, just like all these clowns, are thin-skinned and giant ego. They would never take what they dish out. None of them. They can't take what they dish out, and they are not for free speech. As soon as they hear something they don't like. The more I see of the comedy scene, the more I despise comedians. I mean, the most honest one will say, I'm a comedian because I don't want to work for a living. I can understand that. I can get behind that. But these guys are a type. And the type that they are unprincipled wimps.